I think just that Mary's people said to Bravo, give us our final money, and she lost 18,000, which means a 3-part reunion. It's almost like, I don't know, this 6,000 is nothing new, guys. Like, you make 120,000 your second year, with exceptions. Of course, there are exceptions, but the majority isn't. So I don't know why that's so strange to everyone. I mean, I guess it sounds like so little per episode, but it's like 120 your second year.
Yeah,
So I mean, breaking even year 2. You spend money year 1, you break even year 2.
I think I think it's so shocking when you consider how much they all spend on glam squads. And really, I mean, you shoot for 3 months straight. I mean, I know this from obviously talking and having like Ashley Darby and a lot of the housewives on. I mean, you shoot 3 months straight pretty much at their disposal. Like, yes, of course, if you have your kids or you need to make some exceptions, but I mean,
disposal.
Yeah, at their disposal. Yes, thank you.
Like, during the season, like I've tried to make plans with like a Margaret, like Joseph said, it would literally be like, I can call you the morning of when that we're not shooting. You have no control. Like, you do get like a day off usually, but you don't know what it is. So if you're shooting Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, your day off, Sunday, your day off, whatever it is that they decide, like, you cannot do a vacation. You cannot say, let's meet for dinner. Like, it is at this level. Now, if you're Kathy Hilton, you can go on a girls' trip and sleep when you're tired. But short of Kathy Hilton, I mean, you don't just say like, I mean, right, yes, if your mother dies, your father dies, if there's things going on in your life, you have exceptions. But those are exceptions. It's not, you have to be available to film, and you lose your job if you don't. I mean, that's why Aviva ultimately lost her job, because she couldn't go on the cast trips. Like, this is a real job. So, right. It's not that much for year 1 or year 2 at all.
Yeah. I mean, I guess when you also look at it, $60,000 for basically 3 months of work, and then you go to the reunion. I mean, that is pretty good. That's pretty substantial money. I mean, that's not bad. 20 grand a month. I mean, 20, but you are at their beck and call.
And it's what you spend. I mean, no one's telling you to spend it, but you do spend it. I think year 2, you probably break even with the 120.
I look
when
at
you're done with the food, and when you're done with like dresses and shoes and bags and everything. I mean, and I've talked to housewives on this show that say like they felt a pressure to spend. Like, the cameras are, so when you're in Cartier and your castmate is buying a bracelet, and then it says on the screen, love bracelet, 7,200. Do you want that same? You want that? It's just such a. I don't even know.
Wild. I mean, I will say, like, I think Wendy Osefo, like, I don't even know how much Wendy has invested to stay on this show, but I do think Wendy gives the audience what they want. Like, she went from a academic to like a plastic pinup, that is going to throw any amount of shade to stay on the show. And she like invested in a whole probably $120,000 makeover.
Like, I would agree with that. The professor has left the building, sweetheart. The professor has left the building. I just don't. I mean, here's the thing. I get it. I do, but I don't get it that like, like at the end of the day, you have to do the work. So the model is you're brought in, you're used, and you're kicked out. I'm not shading Bravo, but that's the bottom line. Now, like if you're a Luann or a Ramona, and you get this, 13, 14 year run, it's $1 million a year. Like, you're used and rode hard, but you get stuff out of it. But short of that, it's like, well, Professor Wendy, when you are kicked out, and you will be kicked out, no one's going to return your calls. And actually, you're going to be shocked, because people that are on the current cast, they ain't going to want to take a picture with you anymore, sweetheart, when you're fired and they're not. Now, maybe she'll be there for 20 years, but the point is, you have a professor, a political commentator job for the rest of your life. Like, that is the way to go, because that is a real job. So I get it, but having researched like the model, it's like, there's so many that came before you. Don't you get it? Like, don't you understand what happens when this ride is over for you? And that ride could be 2 to 10 years. It could be 1 year. So
I know
she went all sacrifice all of that. She's gone all in.
She's gone all in. She's bet on herself. She's gone all in that she is going to be a long-term cast member.
And I'm not
And
shading you, Wendy, dear. So, but I'm just giving you the facts.
yeah, I mean, and it's look to the other point with the OC, it's like Gina, who, doesn't look like she has two dimes to rub together. I mean, continues to stay on. So, I mean, what do I know?
Let me tell you something. I did a show. No,
No shade to Gina.
No. I had a talk last night. Yeah, the future. I've got some RHOC coming up for y'all. But I talked to an OC housewife last night, and I said, Gina, to me, is the absolute breakout star of this season of RHOC. Gina, I apologize. I never thought that Gina and Emily would be here for season 4. When they started, I gave them 1 season, maybe 2. I think a lot of people didn't really understand it. Look, I think it's also hard when you start and your co-stars are Vicky Gunvalson, Tamra Judge, Kelly Dodd, and Shannon Beador. I'm not sure how anyone could get a word in edgewise with those 4.
Yeah. Yeah. No, and I think what Gina does, I think, is ground that show. And so does Emily. I think Emily's weight struggles are so relatable to the female audience. I think Gina represents like, a woman who lives in this very, very affluent, community, is on this show. She's been through some real shit, divorced. She's trying to make it, she has that, not so much the entrepreneur part, but the Bethany kind of that, like calling people on their shit, very authentic. And look, my opinion is I'm sort of over the Dubrows. Like I kind of liked the first episode, and then I was just over Heather. I'm over oh God, Terry. Like I used to love Terry. I've grown to hate that. I don't know why.
Well, first of all, let's unpack a lot of what you just said. First of all, you're not alone. I mean, a lot of people are not loving the return of Miss Dubrow.
Yeah,
you're shaking your head.
I mean, I love the house. I love the money, but Heather to me has just become a giant bitch. Like I don't know, to me, when she threatened Shannon, and she can say it a million ways to Sunday that she didn't threaten Shannon, there is like a level of respect for some of these old school members, even though I am completely over Sonia. I love Ramona, actually.
You don't need to worry about Sonia. We'll talk about that in our next show when we do RHONY. I've got stuff to break. Guys.
I'm over Luann. I'm over Sonia. But there is like a level of respect. When Heather did that, I was just like, you seem like an evil person. You actually seem like a very evil person. Like I don't know. That totally turned me off. And I'm not a Dubrow fan anymore. Even of Terry. Cause I'm like, if they kind of operate like that, and I don't know, Terry's plastic surgery bothers the plastic surgery on that show too. I'm over that show for a lot of reasons.